Weddings-ish, 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 with Jove.
Well, hello, and thank you so much for tuning in to Weddings-ish with Jove, a podcast all about love, joy, and weddings-ish with a special guest each episode. I couldn't be more excited to have in studio author, chef, designer, and tastemaker, Stephanie Nass. How are you?
How are you? I'm so glad to be with you.
I'm so happy that you're here. Your whole world is so beautiful, and I can't wait to dive in.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be here and talk through so many fun things with you.
Yeah. So first, I discovered your wedding in Vogue. And I have to say my heart melted when I saw your 28-foot cake centerpiece. That literally just chef's kiss to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
It really, we're going to talk all about your wedding, but I just have to start off by saying that, I became obsessed with you in that moment, and I did a deep dive, and I just want to learn everything there is to know about you. So you are a chef by trade.
Yes.
And you went to school where?
So I'm from New York City.
Uh-huh.
I grew up in Westchester.
Born and raised?
Born and raised in the city in Westchester. I went to Columbia undergraduate.
Okay, same.
Really?
Yeah,
Columbia
twinsies.
College.
General studies.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I was in the college, so I went at 18, and I put all my classes on a few days of the week, and I worked in restaurant kitchens on the other days.
While you were a full-time student?
While I was a full-time student.
What were you studying?
Art history.
Okay, so creative brain and then working in a kitchen.
But also creative brain. And
totally.
just
Food
full
is
of
super
passion.
Creative. But while you were a student?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
If you go to a school in a small town, you're involved in the yearbook and,
That's true.
the debate team. But in New York City, you have the opportunity to do real
other things.
Adult jobs.
Yes.
And I really wanted to learn in a restaurant kitchen, and so I did, and I loved it.
Wow. What kind of food did you start off with, or what restaurant?
I worked at a few restaurants and a bakery.
Okay.
And then after college, but when I was 16, I moved to France.
What? Okay, this just took a twist.
A little twist.
You were like, I'm done with New York City. I want to go live in France.
I was, really curious about living abroad. Mm-hmm. So when I was 16, I did a homestay program.
Okay.
In Brittany, France, which is the western coast of France. And I lived with a French family. And I started taking cooking classes with an old French woman named Madame Pellicot. And I learned about classic French dishes.
Amazing.
And so I would say that point forward, I knew I wanted to do something with food.
You caught the bug in France and you're like, this is it.
This is it.
Food is for me.
This is what I need to do my whole life.
This makes a lot more sense. So then you went to school, but you were like, I still need to be in the kitchen.
Correct.
I see.
Exactly. But then I graduated and I knew I wanted to still work with food, but I also knew I had a lot to learn before I started my own business. Sure. So I became a financial analyst in California in Palo Alto.
Food, art, finance. Okay.
But it set me up, all those things
for
set
business.
Me up to do what I do now.
Yeah.
And then I went to culinary school and I started catering, and I catered my whole 20s.
Okay.
With a focus on pastry.
You went back to France for culinary school.
I did French Culinary Institute, ICE here in Soho.
Okay, got it. Back in New York.
On Broadway and Grand.
Okay.
And I did it at night, and then I catered and worked during the day.
Yep.
But by the time I graduated culinary school, I had a full-fledged business.
Yeah.
And I did that my whole 20s.
Because you've been hustling for so long, juggling all the plates you have to juggle to be a business owner.
Right. And also, to get gigs.
Yes.
As a caterer. So I loved it.
Yeah.
And we were talking about corporate events earlier, and that's all I did for fashion brands, automobile brands, electronics brands. Yep. And I was doing these patterned pastries, which sort of became my signature, as you saw in the wedding, the tiered wedding cake that we had. And then COVID hit. I started refocusing on my tableware and home goods business. Yeah. And then that really became my focus. And then I cook. I have this cookbook coming out. I do some media on TV around food. And then I work in homeless shelters and do cooking classes to make social impact.
So food on every level and platform in your life.
Food in every direction.
I love that. I think it's really amazing to hear the journey. And for others who want to become a caterer or sort of work in the world of food, do you have a quick tip or suggestion for them?
I mean,
now that you've walked the path.
Well, There are so many parts of the food industry.
Yeah.
There's restaurant, there's catering, there's media. And then within media, there's magazines, social media, television. You'll have to figure out exactly what you want to do and how much of what you want to do is recipe writing versus recipe cooking versus, cooking for a small group versus big group. So you'll figure out exactly what you want to do. But I think consistently, you just have to do great work at all points and put your whole heart and soul into it. Give it all your hours, give it all your energy, and you'll be successful.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I think people romanticize cooking sometimes in baking, but it's a lot of prep work and work in the kitchen and cleanup and delivery and setup, like start to finish. I'm tired just thinking about your work.
Well, it's, when you're driven by passion, you don't get tired.
Yeah. Ooh, say that again to camera, please.
When you're driven by passion, you don't get tired.
I love that. And I think really it's true for anyone because it is the fuel you have to use to move forward.
Totally.
Otherwise, it's a lot to do it on your own. Was there one particular moment or item that you made or event that you did that changed the trajectory of your company that kind of either gave you clout or recognition or put you in the direction you wanted to be going? Like, can you identify that?
With these patterned cakes and pastries, we did very high profile events. For example, Love Shack Fancy with their iconic floral chintzes. We did cakes to match this dinner they did for many, many women that matched the tablecloth and the cushions and the whole thing.
Yep.
We did for Erin Lauder when she did a collaboration with Williams-Sonoma in Los Angeles. So, just working with these really high profile brands and their really high profile guests really helped give the brand more prestige. And then also just being in New York City the whole time, I got to meet so many people who just put the brand in the right places that allowed it to grow.
You made a beautiful product that people loved and sought and wanted, and then it popped off, which is exciting.
So exciting.
So I want to shift from your work life to your love life.
Okay.
Because you recently got married, which congratulations.
Thank you.
But I find your meet cute story to be hopeful for many singles out there. Can you share how you met your then stranger, now husband?
Then stranger, now really my husband. So we met July 14th of 2023 at a party that I could have so easily blown off.
Because it was your second party that night.
See,
I know.
So the first party was like a glamorous Christy Brinkley event in the Hamptons at Donna Karen's restaurant. And I was dressed for that.
Sure. Dressed to the nines.
Dressed to the nines. And I so easily could have said, why would I bother driving so far out of my way to this random party?
Sure.
Who, and
when
I know.
My couch is calling.
Or like I'm tired and I want to get up early, whatever. And it's just amazing how going changed my life. So this is advice to anyone who's, trying to meet someone is you really have to put in the effort and go out into the world to meet your person. Because I swear, the moment I met David, I knew I loved him.
Wait, that's beautiful. Like right away?
Immediately.
And you were grilling at this party.
Correct.
So I understand you went to the second party.
Correct.
A dinner party.
Correct.
Allegedly.
Yes.
And there was no food.
Exactly. So I left the first party before dinner was served.
Yep.
Because again, I'm like an early bird and I didn't want to stay out too late. And I was like making myself go to this other thing. And so then I get to the second party starving.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to eat. Nothing's been cooked yet. So I see this bowl of like frozen shrimp and like other ingredients. And I just open the grill and start grilling.
You just fired up the grill at a stranger's house?
Well, he's a friend.
Okay, good. Okay.
He's a friend.
I was like, I love the audacity to just cook.
He allowed me.
Got it.
He was like, here, go ahead.
Yeah, do your thing.
Correct. Because it was like beneficial to him and his guests and everything.
And you were starving.
Correct. And I had to, when you're starving, you have to assume someone else is hungry.
Correct.
So I started grilling. I don't even remember the first thing David and I said to each other because I just remember this like wave of, this is it.
Like
I didn't
you
know
were smitten from the moment he said hello.
It was energetic. It was like, I don't even know if he said hello yet. I was just like, this person is so attractive to me.
Wow.
And I could just feel he was like a protective and warm and, he's so brilliant. And that came off really fast. And I was just sure.
From that moment. And were you like on Tinder and dating and looking actively?
I was actually engaged before.
Okay.
So we'll go into weddings, but like I've spent a lot of time thinking about weddings, but I was single for 11 months.
Okay.
In between, correct. And I had really felt a release of freedom after calling off the first wedding.
Sure. You called it off.
Correct.
Wow.
Well, there's breakups are painful.
For sure.
For everybody. But I felt so empowered. I had rented my own house. I had, my own beautiful apartment. I had everything and I loved working, you know what I mean? But I provided for myself. So I really felt like I'm only going to go into something that I want to. I don't need this.
By choice. Yeah.
Correct. I'm not like anxiety the way you could be.
You don't need someone to fulfill you. Yeah.
Right. Because I love my life today. And I love my life the day before I met David. Honestly, he makes my life so much better, but I wasn't depressed.
Yeah.
So I wasn't on dating apps. I had gone out for so much fun because for years I had been in a relationship where I wasn't going out and I wasn't, eating, sleeping, wearing whatever I wanted. So I felt like this was my chance.
Meaning you weren't yourself fully in your previous relationship.
True.
You didn't feel like you were. Now that you look back, you were not yourself.
I also think it was like the COVID period.
Which made or break-in? Which made or broke couples. That's the words, which made or broke couples.
But also we were living in like a half world. Like we could only experience half the world or not the full thing. So like you wouldn't go to a nightclub in COVID.
Yeah, you couldn't go out. You couldn't have fun in that way.
But also like, you didn't have those experiences with people and like seeing how someone would react. And again, not my thing. But like the prohibition made me so interested in it.
Sure.
So anyway, I had been going out. I had so much fun. But then I met David and I was like, I want to be with this person.
That's wild.
Because it's 1 + 1 = 3 when it's the right person.
Yeah.
And, I'm happier with him than I am alone because he's my best friend. Our life is a conversation that never ends. We talk about everything.
Yep.
Politics, design, human behavior.
No topic is off limit. Yeah.
No topic is off limits. We can be so straight with each other. But it's just a pleasure.
I love that. So you were grilling in a gown, which is just a picture when the rom-com comes out that I'm ready for. You felt the energy, you connected, and then he invited you on an official first date, or how did you really kick it off?
So he was leaving 2 days later to Montana.
Of course.
Even though we were both living in the Hamptons. And we agreed that we would hang out after he returned. And he had his sibling staying with him and her partner and friends the weekend he returned. And he invited me to join them. But before that—
The entire family?
Well, not the parents.
But still, siblings on like a first date.
I love his sister. But I wanted to meet him one-on-one before all that because we still hadn't really properly gone on a date. So we did that. We met just the two of us. And then our first real date was like an endless 12-hour date where we went to the beach and a museum and a million meals. And he brought me hydrangeas. And
which found their way into your wedding, which we're going to get there.
Yeah.
So you had an amazing first date. And then was it 9 months later he proposed?
8 or 9. Yeah. 8 months later.
He proposed.
Yes.
In Montana.
He proposed. He asked me to marry him. First, he asked my father's permission.
Very classic.
Very, very gentlemanly. And then he asked me to marry him. And he didn't have a ring originally, and we ordered this beautiful gold band.
Oh,
and
it's
then
stunning.
We designed my engagement ring.
Together.
Okay.
Very pretty. Very sweet.
Yes.
She's being cleaned.
She's being cleaned. Yes.
And then the best part of this whole story for me is you said yes, obviously. That must be, April? And then you got married in June.
Yes.
You planned and designed an entire wedding in 10 weeks.
Correct.
This is wild.
Correct.
From an event planner.
Well, remember, I'm a vendor.
Yeah.
I'm an event professional also.
Yeah.
And this was like my ultimate event.
100%.
And we don't want to wait.
No. I was going to ask why, not the rush, but you were just like, we know we love each other. June is a beautiful month. Let's just do it.
Right. And also if we had wanted to get married at a venue, at a club or a hotel.
They'd all be booked.
Right. And so we got married at my parents' house. So any date was available.
Yeah.
You know, we had to skip around family birthdays, but that was it.
Yeah.
And so we really chose the first available opportunity to get married.
Which happened to be in June. And you had a multi-day celebration starting off in a restaurant, which makes perfect sense for a chef. Where was that your rehearsal dinner?
Well, first we did the marriage license.
Okay. At City Hall?
At City Hall downtown. Yep. And I wore the black and white shoes with the nails with the bouquet. And then with our families.
That was the anemone bouquet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I wanted that accessory moment really badly.
All of them were accessory moments. I just have to say, I do want to ask how many total outfits you wore through the 2 or 3 days.
Approximately 75 million outfits.
Each curated and matching and themed.
I just love this.
Yeah.
I love style and design.
Yeah, it shows.
And fashion.
It's what you do.
And, and we'll talk about this, but if you have a 12-month engagement, you go to a bridal atelier and they work on your dress.
You go to
it's
multiple,
a whole process.
Yeah.
But because we didn't want to wait, I found a lot of vintage off the rack.
Yeah,
and then
you had
made
to with 10 weeks.
Totally. But I don't think that compromised the looks.
No, they were all beautiful. So there was a lot of vintage on there. Okay.
But some new, current.
Beautiful. So it was a 2-day event. City Hall and then dinner at one of Chef Maison Barnes. Okay, one of Chef Beloud's restaurants.
Yes.
Do you know him? I saw that cute picture of you all in the kitchen.
Yes, and so do my in-laws.
Okay.
So if you remember Rotisserie Georgette.
Yeah.
Georgette Farkas is a friend of my mother-in-law's.
Got it.
And she works with Chef Daniel Boulou, and that's how it came about.
Got it.
And that restaurant is stunning.
It's beautiful. And
it's
his
perfect.
Food is...
It was so perfect.
He's the first meal I had out of COVID, the first real restaurant meal. And
Which
I was
restaurant?
literally... He had a restaurant in the Berkshires at a hotel that's no longer there called Blantyre.
Oh, yeah.
And he made a white Cosmo with this round ice cube and the bread service and the food. It was the first time I wasn't in my home cooking for myself or cleaning off a takeout bag.
Right.
And I'll just never forget it. And I was like, I want to be married here. The food experience with him and his team was just
But the hotel's still open.
Ken Folk bought it
and
is reopening it.
That hotel is sick.
It's exquisite. It's exquisite.
All of Lenox, Massachusetts is so
it's beautiful.
Magnificent.
But to have him there as the lead anchor chef was
because
next level.
For years the food at that hotel was no good.
Correct.
So I remember reading
Are you a hard dinner date? I imagine going to dinner with a chef might not be easy.
Either it's a hard yes or it's a hard no. Okay. So I'm really happy with a burger and fries.
Great. But a well-made perfectly made burgers, perfectly salted
with
fries.
The right bun and cheese and fries.
Toasted or not toasted?
It's all the sum of the parts. It's not just the individual parts. Or I'm I love fine dining.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate it like an art form.
It is.
And so when I go out, and David is less patient with multi-course meals, which I also understand.
For sure, it's
and
not his thing.
Sometimes you just want to get to the point.
Yeah, the function is to eat.
Right.
In his mind, yeah.
Totally. But, it is a medium of creativity, and it's a conversation topic. Yeah. So the same way if you and I went to a museum, we would talk about every canvas and sculpture. Yeah. When you go out to eat, it's like an intellectually stimulating experience to talk about not only the food and the wine, but also the tableware and the ambiance and the service.
The layers.
It's something to study and appreciate. Oh, yeah.
100%.
Everything.
And maybe this is controversial, and I'm curious to ask you, I love Michelin-starred restaurants. I love that fine dining experience. Right. I do it often.
Yeah.
But it seems to me now they're all becoming the same. It's almost like if a Michelin-starred restaurant is like going to a chain restaurant.
Right.
They all serve on clean white plates. They all put a similar sauce with a small piece of meat and a micro garnish. it is now all the same.
Right.
Am I wrong, or am I thinking about it incorrectly?
And I agree. I agree, because you remember when Chef Daniel Hume started with the vegan and was still charging the same price, and he got so much flack
at 11
for
Madison
that.
Park.
Exactly. At EMP. And so I think that
EMP. Sorry, I just had to the insider scoop there.
I think that it's hard to break out of the box.
Yeah.
But aesthetically, I agree. And I love color and shape and interesting design. And I agree with you that it's a lot of the same. But I think that mixing it up is more expensive, and having handmade pieces, hand-blown glass and plates. It's a big investment for restaurants.
Yeah, to be able to do that. So that's sort of where they keep it. All right, well, back to you and your wedding. So you had your wonderful welcome dinner. You'd City Hall.
Correct.
And then your welcome dinner, which was gorgeous. And that was pretty like white, monochromatically white and black.
Yeah, well, I wanted it to be urban and have like a very sexy vibe.
Yeah, because that was your city, and then your wedding was in Westchester.
Exactly.
Got it.
So, and I had worked with the most fabulous florist, Zeke Westerman.
I love Zeke. I've known Zeke for many years.
Oh my God. We finish each other's sentences.
I love that. You have a similar energy, actually.
I love him.
A little bit like calm.
He's the next big thing.
He is already.
For sure. I mean, but he's like about to really explode. So I explained the vibe I was going for to Zeke. And I wanted to do something different. So, and I explained that I was, in the Iberian Peninsula where Spain and Portugal are, you have a lot of candles with the melted wax.
Yeah.
And I told him I want that kind of sexy, warm vibe.
Yep.
So what he did was he bleached amaranthus.
To look like wax.
But it was all flora.
Yeah.
And then I knew I wanted to use those Amari-inspired plates. And then I did menus inspired by that border. And I wrote, embroidered everyone's name on.
You did that.
Of course.
You hand wrote their names and then embroidered them for all the guests.
Well, we was all a small group. So our wedding was 34 and our rehearsal dinner was 10 or 12.
Yeah.
So we could really do a lot of details because it wasn't a huge 500
It's like what they call a micro wedding. So you could really invest all of your energy into those 12 or 30 people.
Of course.
In a big way. Also, you love to do this.
Exactly.
But how did you, as a designer who's also getting married,
right.
How did you hone in on what you wanted versus all the beautiful things that you've made and maybe the expectations or the pressure? Like, how did you hone in on your aesthetic for your wedding? Not different from what you do for other people.
Well, if we're jumping to the wedding, which it sounds like we are.
Yes.
I started with color palette.
Okay.
And then I look at so many things all the time.
Yeah.
I never get tired and looking in film and books and, art and just looking for inspiration everywhere, as I'm sure you do. And I started, and I'm, again, very sensitive to color. And I wanted a color palette that was colorful, but not bright.
Sure.
So that was my first task. And that color inspiration came from a pile of ribbons I had seen together. And I felt that color palette was all, evergreen and a little feminine, but just perfect.
Yeah.
So then I thought about things that I was, again, intellectually interested in doing. So the custom toile, the cakes, all the place settings, like, just things that I had thought of earlier.
Yep.
And could finally do for the people I love most.
The Stephanie touches. Handmade Stephanie touches.
Of course.
Did you do your own wedding cake?
So there
you
were
had 3
many.
cakes also. This was like, I fell in love with a 28-foot cake. We just have to, I can't wait any longer. So you made a 28-foot cake, which ran the whole span of your table for your wedding.
So now we're on the wedding. Yes. Okay. So I had creative involvement in all of the cakes.
Of course.
I did not bake every single thing.
Sure.
So the one I fully baked was the hydrangea bomb cake.
Okay.
And again, that is inspired by our love story and our love for hydrangeas.
He gave you hydrangeas on the first date.
And our summer love.
Yep.
And, this was a motif throughout the wedding, the hydrangeas. So that is my chocolate cake recipe. It is in the book.
Yep.
And it is so delicious.
Oh my God,
and then
I love
we
chocolate.
didn't have fondant. We did all the petals with my buttercream frosting.
Wait, those are buttercream?
Yes. So it wasn't like, didn't have a bad mouthfeel.
I 100% assumed they were fondant.
No.
You can make flowers like that out of
I did a TikTok about it, yes.
I will immediately go and watch.
Oh my God, and our
I don't
frosting.
like fondant. I hate saying that. And I love cake people, but like, it's not for me. So I just assumed that was fondant, but
No.
that's buttercream.
That's the benefit of doing things homemade.
Wow.
Is you get to make every creative decision. Because again, I was doing this for my family.
Sure.
And my most loved.
The utmost love you poured into this because it is your love and it is your family.
So that was fully homemade.
Okay.
The 28-foot cake, I wanted to do it at home. We didn't have the oven or freezer or refrigerator space to do it.
Make that.
So we did it off-site at a place called Flower Power.
Okay.
And they're credited in the Vogue article.
Yeah.
And then we assembled it at home.
Got it.
And
frosted it at home.
Correct.
And then Zeke did the flowers.
Exactly.
And they were different flavors, I understand.
Yes.
Did anyone dive in? Or was the people a little more demure?
People left with such a sugar high. And of course, we sent everyone home with a full box of cakes.
Well, I have to be clear. You had the 28-foot cake.
Right.
Then you had mini cakes served on your beautiful flower chargers and plates.
Right.
Then you had a beautiful toile wedding cake that matched your toile linens.
Right.
And toile napkins and toile
aprons and lollies
all
and
of it,
everything.
Lollies. And then you had your flower cake.
Right.
You had 4 wedding cakes.
Right. And but also we had that whole dessert table. So the
Viennese, donut tower.
Right.
Give me that.
Oh my God. Well, David, a California boy like you, loves donuts.
It's a thing in California. There's a ton of mom and pop, small, Winchell's donuts,
amazing.
It's
the
a vibe.
Best donuts in the country are in California. So we didn't, I was inspired by croquant bouche.
Yes, but you use donuts. It's like a high-low.
But that was fully made, that we got those munchkins from a donut place in Westchester that we love called Ducks, but we did that at home.
Yeah. I mean, that's wild. So you worked your whole wedding day.
No. I worked up until I got my hair and makeup done.
Okay.
But I have a catering team.
That's true, that you trust, that you know.
That while I was getting my hair and makeup done, everyone was texting me.
Got it.
And I think something that other brides who are in the industry and want to enjoy their wedding day can do that I did, and maybe you'll do this for yours, but I made such a thorough deck in advance of the wedding.
So everything was crystal clear.
Everything was crystal clear. And then also all the shots I wanted in each moment. For
your photographer, yeah.
Yes.
You made a shot list for her. Which did she love or hate?
Sequentially, loved.
Okay. Everyone's different, how they feel about.
Trois is so easy to work with.
She's the best.
And everyone was happy. We had the best team of vendors. But once I was made up and, blow dried, I really just wanted to be a bride. Correct.
And did you actually turn? I'm really selfishly asking because you're me.
Totally.
A few months, a year before. Did you literally actually turn off and just enjoy?
Totally. And the truth is, all the details of our wedding were so spectacular, but the substance of the vows and the toasts and the energy was superior to all the details. I was present for every single second.
Yeah, I love that. I love hearing that it's possible.
You'll do it.
Because I saw the photo of you setting the final details of the table and I read all of the things that you had made.
Right.
I figured what you made in advance, of course you made in advance, but day of even assembling some of these things.
Right.
It's a lot of work on a wedding day.
Well,
in your own home too.
Well, I trusted everyone on the team. And girls who have worked for me for years were doing, they
know you.
Totally.
Yeah, I love that.
And you'll have the same thing. But just to finish out on the cakes, the final cake, the wedding cake that we cut, the toile, my first product were these patterned cake sheets. And so I always knew from when I started doing these pastries.
That was going to be part of your wedding.
That was my wedding. That was the first idea I had. And then the toile, what pattern, and then creating the pattern, and then putting the pattern all throughout the wedding so that it was like a creative string.
Yeah, thread that wove its way through. Did you draw the toile?
My team drew the toile, patterned it out.
Amazing.
And then, we make tablecloths and napkins and aprons.
Yeah.
So that was, a rush in the 10-week engagement.
I was going to say, to produce all of that, you had to almost do that first because everything else, not that you have a lot of time, but you can kind of figure out the food and the wine a little closer too.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
That's true. And so you literally worked and loved your wedding day. You did City Hall, dinner in the city, and then you had a ceremony too, separately, a religious ceremony outside after City Hall the next day at the wedding.
So on the wedding day.
Yeah.
So after Maison Barnes in the city, I went home and I slept in my childhood home with my family and was putting final touches that night, late night with my mom, which was also a really special moment. And then I woke up early. I did some things and then just started getting ready. Dave, this is kind of unusual, but David just came up. He like wanted to be part of the action. So he like
it wasn't in the schedule. He
just wanted to be a part.
To see you, of course.
And like be at the house and be with everyone. And then I think our wedding was called for 2.
Yeah.
We signed the ketubah. We had our religious ceremony in the backyard, and the weather was perfect.
It looked it, which is always a gamble, but it looked beautiful.
It was perfect. And then the wedding happened.
Yeah.
Fast.
Did you have any guest list drama? 30 people is hard. Or was that like you knew intimate was the way to go for you? Or did you ever flirt with an idea of a larger celebration? Or
we flirted with the idea of a big party in the fall. So now, which we decided to fully
not to do. Like a small wedding and then a big party?
Right. So we had a big summer party in the Hamptons where we had all our summer friends. And then we thought in the city we'd come back and do a whole thing. And it just didn't make sense for us because we had such a perfect wedding.
Yeah. It was amazing. It was gorgeous. Amazing. Did you do all the other ancillary events like engagement party or a bridal shower, a bachelorette party? In 10 weeks, you're kind of truncated.
No time for the engagement party, we are Jewish. And so that was effectively our Passover Seder.
Got it.
And that was the first week our families had met, and our families get along perfect.
Well, that's amazing.
It was like the most celebratory Passover with like singing and dancing, all these traditional songs. It was so happy and really, really joyous. So that was sort of our engagement party. Yeah. And then my mom threw me a beautiful shower.
Okay.
The theme was Swan Lake at Bad Roman.
Oh.
And we just invited all the
Bad
girls.
Roman.
It's so good.
It's really the food, the service, the creativity.
The design.
It's like all of it. You walk in and you're transported. I think like this is what great dining does, is it's design and food and service all in one. And you don't even know why everything is so good.
Totally.
But because it's a sum of all these parts.
Totally.
Even the soap in the bathroom is good. That's always,
everything.
That gets it for me.
That restaurant is so awesome.
Yeah.
And they have a great private room. And we invited all the girls.
Yeah.
Because this was our chance to be inclusive because the wedding was really family.
Was going to be smaller. I love that. And then honeymoon?
Honeymoon, we were in the Hamptons in Montana this summer.
Yep.
And then we're off to our honeymoon in a few weeks.
Amazing. Oh, so you have a delayed honeymoon.
Exactly.
I love that. Did you ever think a year ago you'd be where you are today?
No. Life is magic.
Isn't it?
And it just changes so fast.
Did you ever think a year ago your life would be where it is today?
No. But that's the magic of life.
Yeah.
And I never thought I could love someone as much as I love my husband. Honestly.
I'm going to cry. That's like so sweet.
I love him with every ounce of my being. And, you can't even, unless you meet someone when you're really young.
Yeah.
I went through my whole 20s, and I went through my own mishigas, but I just really didn't think it was possible to find my match the way I did. And we're just enjoying being together.
Yeah. So never give up on love, because literally you were not looking and it found you.
Right.
You showed up and you were in the right place.
It's a balance between not needing, but also being out there.
Yeah.
Right? So if I really didn't care, I wouldn't have gone. Yeah. So I cared enough to drive and take a risk on going to a party, which is always an unknown. But if it's not on your block, it's like the drive there, drive home. It's a risk.
Yeah.
But, if you stay at home, no one's going to know how great you are. And
it's true.
That energetic vibe I got from David, I couldn't have gotten from a dating app.
If you stay at home, no one will ever know how great you are.
Or, you won't find your right match. I just felt it.
Yeah. And he did too, obviously. Or it was the grilling. I don't know. One or the other. And you are an author.
Yes.
This is so exciting. And your book is beautiful. I'm going to do like a shameless plug right here. This is you on the cover with all the beautiful design. Did you also make this outfit?
So I made the pattern.
Oh my gosh, which matches the napkins.
And then a tailor, Michael Andrews Bespoke, made the suit.
Beautiful.
So it's a velvet suit, very Elton John.
It's gorgeous.
And a cotton shirt.
So tell me, what can people find in this book? What is Swing By filled with while I peruse it?
Swing By is 70 recipes.
Also, sorry, it's just, I have to.
Well, that's my whole matrimalism.
Pattern on pattern is my I love it.
I love it too.
And this is a vibe.
I love it. And that's like an all seasons vibe.
Yeah.
But I call it matchimalism.
Matchimalism?
So
Wait, that's so cute instead of maximalism.
But matching the linens to the pastry to the everything.
Literally,
so it's all cohesive.
It's so cutesy.
Well, thank you. So the first chapter is all about my principles for hosting, how I think about where I start with the North Star, what I want guests to feel, all that. And then I go into different kinds of parties. There are 16 different parties, over 70 recipes, flower arranging techniques, and then, peppered with stories and how-to processes and a lot of my illustrations.
Your illustrations are so cute.
Thank you.
Oh my God, these menus are so fun. And each one is so different to go with the different theme of the party.
Of course.
So 16 different types of parties, styles of parties?
So there are 4 styles of parties: standing soirees, seated suppers, outdoor, and then holiday. So 4 different types. And then in each type, I have 4 different parties. So pizza party, a pool party, a Christmas party,
all the different classic things that we would all host or attend in our life.
Or be interested in hosting. So that's a lobster bake where you have ideas for place settings.
And anybody can do this.
And it doesn't cost much.
This is not like the hard, if you're not a calligrapher, if you have bad handwriting, it's a Sharpie and a lemon, but it's so
And
cute.
you can reuse the lemons.
Yeah, for
you
a
can
drink.
Juice them.
100%.
So,
this
it's
is
really
so cute.
I also think guests love to see their names, and those are different kinds of place cards made
so you're
with
giving lots with seashells glued on. Things you found on the beach.
Found objects. This is for an oceanside paella bonfire that I did.
I love it.
A few days after I met David.
Wait, did you glue these on? Or
no,
these are made?
Those are Stephanie flatware. And I had this fantasy. My whole line is my fantasy of what I wish existed.
I love this, that you could never find.
Right.
So you said, you know what?
Let me make
We're going to make it.
So all those shells are applied by hand on each handle.
They're stunning.
Thank you.
All of it. Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. And when and where can people find this book?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, local bookstores.
Everywhere books are sold.
But this is an advanced copy, so you're seeing this
I'm seeing
early.
It first?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, the Galentine's Day. And you teach a napkin fold.
Exactly.
I love that.
A napkin fold is a free way to zhuzh up.
To elevate anything.
Right.
100%.
And it doesn't cost more.
No. And you're going to fold it anyways.
Right.
So why not put a little pizzazz into it?
Of course.
This is so fun. And it's literally step by step for people.
Because what you get in video is the step by step.
Yes.
But sometimes videos move too fast or too slow.
Yes.
But my book designer, Doug Tershin, who I love, does these process pages.
Yeah.
So it really takes people step by step
through the journey. Oh, and then all the resources. Look at you giving credit to everybody.
Well, I love my people.
You have to. In this industry, it's a relationship game.
It is.
This is so exciting.
But also creatives need to, build each other up.
100%. In this world of entrepreneurials, usually if you're a one-person owner,
right,
it can be pretty lonely.
Right.
So having other creative friends with small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses that get the life you're on, they get the roller coaster. It's fun to ride it together.
It is.
Well, where can people find you if they want to stalk you the way that I did before you sat down?
Thank you. Stephanie.com. Stephanie Nass on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, etc. And then the book is on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all the other booksellers.
It is available. So go buy this book. I love it because it's so approachable. I think a lot of people are afraid of entertaining. They're afraid to make a mistake, or they say I'm not a designer. I'm not a host. I'm not creative. But these seem like there are ideas for every level of host or hostess out there.
Well, I'm not a calligrapher, but I just lean into my own hand.
Yeah.
And people just need to lean into what
they
their
can do
own styles
and who
are.
they are. Well, this has been so much fun, and I
Thank
can't
you.
wait to read the book and throw some parties inspired by Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here.
You as well. And now it's time for Ask Jove, where I answer your questions. Really, anything you want to know, go ahead and ask. I couldn't be more excited to be joined in studio with my dear friend Sloan for Ask Jove.
All right, today we have a question from Lucas in Houston, Texas.
Ooh, hi.
Hi,
Houston,
Lucas.
Texas. This ain't Texas.
You sound so much better than I would if I even tried.
I was
going to
Beyonce.
say, how many seconds do you have so that's not fined for you by the music
I think
industry.
it's 29 seconds, 30 seconds. I mean, if anyone thinks I even sound like Beyonce, I love you. But
Thank
really,
you so much.
yeah, I should not be singing.
Lucas and his partner are both introverts, and the idea of being center of attention all day is daunting.
Yes.
How can they plan a wedding that feels comfortable and enjoyable for them?
I hear this all the time. I'm also more of an introvert than people know. And I think a wedding is about you and your partner. So by definition, you are the spotlight. But I think that there are ways that you can plan to make that spotlight lessen or for you to feel, less in the spotlight. We just did a wedding and the brides, one of them felt this exact same way. And we kind of had to take baby steps. And it's really about going with the partner that's the most shy, I guess, like what they're comfortable with, like how far they're willing to go. So I'd say the first thing is you go through all the standards, like for a ceremony, are you comfortable? Do you want to walk down an aisle? Like, is that a moment that's going to make you feel anxiety or anxious, which is going to set up the ceremony to be uncomfortable? If so, maybe we're already in the room and everyone walks in. And so it's a different center of attention because not everyone turns around and looks at you.
Right, but you're welcoming them into the room.
You're welcoming people in. Or if you want to be in the space before the ceremony, greeting people, then you're less of a centerpiece. You know what I mean? It's more organic. It's natural. So that's like an easy way to diffuse that moment. When you look at the ceremony, our couple decided not to say their own vows because one of them was like, that is my worst fear. I do not want to do that. And her partner sweetly said, then we won't do that. I'm going to cry. It was like so sweet. And instead they wrote them and the officiant read them on behalf of one and on behalf of the other. And it's totally different. Like selfishly, do I want to hear that shake in your voice when you say how much you love your partner? Yes, I do. We all do. That's why we're there. But if it makes someone uncomfortable, that's not what we're there for. So like that was a nice pivot that worked really well and achieved the same result. Similarly, I think what's the next big moment? Oh, an introduction, like into the room. So you don't have to do that. Like post-ceremony, post-cocktail hour, everyone's seated for dinner or in the dance floor. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome. Yeah, meow, meow, meow.
That doesn't happen at Jove Meyer weddings.
I was just going to say, we have never had an air horn at any wedding, but do I want an air horn?
Do you? I will gladly, I will honk it.
You'll be the one?
Why not?
I digress. Okay, so you don't have to do that. Everything is optional. And you definitely want to go with what you're most comfortable with. So instead of having that moment where all eyes are literally on you because a DJ or an MC is making
all
it.
The eyes
they're like making you the moment. You don't have to do that at all. You can go sit at dinner with everyone else without an introduction. If you want to have a first dance, but you don't want a big introduction, literally you control the dialogue. You give the script to the DJ and you can say like, let's just keep it chill and just say, and the happy couple for their first dance. Instead of like, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, blah, blah, blah. Like we don't have to build it up to something it doesn't need to be.
Right.
That couple also, similarly, she was very reserved and shy. They didn't want to do a full first dance where everyone's in a circle and all the phones. And again, all that spotlight. So for the introverted one, everyone was seated for dinner and there was like a little gap between the tables. And once everyone was seated, once all the wine was poured, the orders were taken from the menus, they kind of casually came in. The room noticed, they swayed for 15 seconds, and then they sat down.
I love that.
Yeah. So the partner that
nice.
wanted the moment got it. And the partner that was very nervous about it was like, I can do 15 seconds. And it started from we're not doing it at all to like meeting in the middle. And I thought it was like a really beautiful way to do it because it wasn't 2 minutes of like, everyone's staring at us while we pretend to dance. It's like, it's very unnatural, all of this. And I think it's as performative as you let it be. What are the other, I'm trying to think of the other things that you can do.
Cake cutting, do you want that? Yes, no.
Cake cutting is a big one. Like, you don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that.
They'll cut your cake in the kitchen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the success of your marriage doesn't hinge on any of these moments.
Absolutely.
So if they don't speak to you, definitely don't do them. You can still have a beautiful cake in the corner or in the middle of the room, wherever you want it. You could even have a moment where you acknowledge the cake or not. Just get pictures with it or don't. We've had couples literally, we've moved it out of the room and had a private cake cutting because they wanted the moment, but not the attention of the moment. So I think there's lots of ways to augment your wedding to fit your comfort and your partner's comfort. And just ignore all the haters. Like everyone wants a performance from you.
Not necessary.
They want a show. We all love reality TV. We want the drama. We want the moment. But it's unnecessary. If it's not true to you, like don't do it.
Right.
And if it's important to your partner, like find a balance. Like if they are a big personality and they want like a big dance moment, they can have a solo. You can come in at the end and give them a kiss. You know what I mean? Like you find a balance in that way. And then speeches, you don't have to speak if you don't want to speak.
Right.
Or you could just say thank you. You know, like you don't have to have speeches where now everyone's looking at you because they're talking about you. You don't have to do that. Like really outside of food and drink, everything else is flexible. And I mean that, you know what I mean? Like do what feels right for the two of you. Were you or Jose more introverted or did you kind of do all the
We didn't do all of the
bells
things.
and whistles?
No, we didn't do all the bells and whistles because that didn't feel natural to us.
Yeah.
Also, we specifically we didn't specifically choose to have a New Year's Eve wedding. It kind of like happened that way, but it was very nice doing it on a holiday because then the holiday was also a part of the day and not just us.
The holiday was the focus.
Yeah.
Oh, that's smart. That's like a nice little tip.
It was nice.
Find something else to be the focus.
Yeah. And like, I also think too, if you shift your mindset when going into your wedding day and or in the process of planning your wedding to this is an opportunity for us to enjoy everyone that we love in our lives and just celebrate the fact that we have love for each other, but we also have love for all of these people.
For everyone in the room, yeah.
Yeah, and they've made us who we are and will continue to make us who we are. I think that mental shift helps a lot too. And it helps drive a lot of decisions. So we didn't do a first dance. We did a cake in the morning.
Dances?
None of that was planned. It was all organic. So
Just
it was
happened.
like, we knew the songs that we wanted to dance to our parents with. And so when music came on, whenever that song came on, we would like go and find our parent.
Instinctually, it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's driving me crazy and from a like OCD planning point of view, because where in my timeline are you fitting this impromptu dance?
But it all happened in our evening session.
Yeah.
And it was like more upbeat, fun songs.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to have a moment of like drawn attention
where
to
everyone
us.
stops what they're doing and focuses on you.
Yeah.
And really those moments are very private. Like a dance with a parent or a loved one or your partner is intimate.
Yep.
And everyone in the room
also didn't know that we were gonna. So we would like just go up to them and we like pull them in and dance with them. So it was.
But they must have felt very special too.
Hope
like
so.
you know, they were chosen. They were given something.
Yeah.
A recognition in that moment that's really, really good. But yeah, I think you just have to do what's right for you. And if you're not comfortable, don't do it.
Yeah.
Like at all. And if you have any second guessing in any level of it, it's not worth it. Because if you're uncomfortable at the start, it's probably not going to get easier for you. And I think also knowing what what ways keep you calm or center you. You should know this about yourself already in life, but like have those ready at your wedding. So if it's having your best friend across from you so you can squeeze their hand or give them a look, or they can say, oh, should we go get a drink? You know, like know the tools you have to exit a situation if you're uncomfortable or to find a moment to be alone if you need to gather yourself. Like you know yourself best and your partner knows you. And everyone in the room, at least hopefully half the people, know you as well and probably are aware of your social anxiety or how you feel on the spotlight. I think unless you're a performer, it's not natural.
Right.
And all of this theatrics, I just go through all of the list and decide yay, nay, maybe, like, and veto it. Like everyone gets a veto and you get one veto in all of that. And if there's something you just will not do, pull your veto card and your partner has to listen. Otherwise, I'll give him a phone call.
Watch out, Jove's hitting your phone calls.
That's it. Well, you got this and just, trust your gut.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for today, and wasn't that fun? Don't forget to send your questions. Again, any questions, send them our way to hi@jovemeyer.com, and maybe I will answer them on air. If you can, send a voice memo. I love to hear your voice.
Weddings-ish.
Thank you again for listening or watching Weddings-ish with Jove. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. We're also super grateful to Mel Flannery for the music on the podcast. She created, produced, and designed all of the music. And don't forget, you can watch Weddings-ish with Jove on Love Stories TV, YouTube, or streaming TV channel. Visit lovestoriestv.com/live for the list of streaming apps.
Weddings-ish.